guys, it's Kristen from Anime Collective. So last month I got in a lot of anime figures and I've also gotten a lot of anime statues recently. I have quite the backlog of anime statues to show you guys, so I decided to just do one video where I show you all of them. If there's anything in this haul you'd like to see a more in-depth video on, make sure you drop them in the comments below. And there's even a first for the channel in this video. I actually regret something I bought, so make sure you stay tuned to find out what that is. But with that said, there's a lot to get through, so let's get into it. Alright, so first up are all of the Fire Force ARTFX J figures that have been released so far. All of these figures are in 1/8 scale, and I decided to get the sets that came with their bonus parts, so there's some extras that I'll be showing you that didn't come with the standard releases. Up first is Shinra. Shinra's figure is based on his cover art that's seen on Volume 1. You can see here that he's leaping up in the same action-ready pose with flames on both of his feet. He has the effect as if he's actually midair thanks to the way that he keys into the base. So he's actually being held in by two main points, his foot in the back, which keys into the base, and his knee, which has a section where this notch fits into. It took a little bit of time to get his foot fully in so that his knee was in the right orientation to fit into the notch, so be careful not to put too much force on him while doing so. The portrait that comes with this figure shows him with his helmet on and with his characteristic wide devilish grin. You can see they achieved the jagged, almost shark-like look of his teeth. His eyes are well done also with little highlight bubbles and various colors of red that make them stand out. Only thing I noticed is that his forehead is a little bit too tall and his hairline seems to be a bit too far back on this portrait in particular. The helmet looks really nice though and is painted over with a glossy finish to give it a more realistic look, and you can see the Fire Force Company 8 emblem here. The text on it is raised and painted in this metallic gold color too. By the way, this figure is painted with fluorescent paint in certain areas, including the flames in his bunker gear. They also added silver metallic details from the cross buttons on his jacket to the detailings on his protective gloves. I like that none of the ARTFX J Fire Force figures have traditional bases, but instead have bases that are made to look like part of the environment they are in or fire. In Shinra's case, his base is made to look like fire that looks like it's billowing up from under him. It is translucent and is painted in oranges and yellows that glow in the dark when charged under a black light. The bonus part that came with the set I ordered is this extra portrait. It shows him without his helmet on and with a closed mouth serious expression on his face. Tamaki's ARTFX J figure is inspired by her cover on Volume 7. As you can see on the cover, she is shown using her Nekomata ability. The standard figure comes without her Nekomata parts, but they are included with the bonus set. She has the same koi expression on her face and her pigtails are flowing outwards as if they are moving in the wind. The pose is recreated here as well. Her bunker gear is recreated really well also. One thing they added is the smoke that's rising up around her feet. This smoke also serves as her base. I really love what they did here with her figure, and she looks really cute yet badass at the same time. Tamaki's bonus parts, as mentioned prior, are her Nekomata parts, which are painted to look like pink flames. These pink flames take on the shape of cat ears and two forked tails, which they included as the bonus parts, and this is definitely the way I'm going to display her. Up next is Arthur's figure, and his figure is inspired by his cover on Volume 2. He is in this backward-leaning action pose with Excalibur in his hand, and the ground is breaking up underneath his feet. In my opinion, Arthur's figure is the best in terms of likeness. It just looks like him, and I like the way he looks here with his hood up. Also, despite the fact that he's leaning backward, this figure is really well balanced. If you move it, he wobbles, but he stays put when put on display. The bonus part I got for Arthur is an extra head sculpt that shows him without his hood up and with a different smirking expression. I'm going to be displaying him with the one with his hood up though, because I like the overall look and his expression more so on that one. Next is Benimaru's figure. Benimaru is one of my favorite characters in Fire Force, so I of course had to get him as well. He looks awesome in this pose, standing on his brigade's Matoi, seemingly flying up in the sky amongst flames. And he also has this slightly unhinged yet composed expression on his face, which is very characteristic of him. The only thing I noticed about Benimaru's figure is the fact that the streamers of the Matoi, which are supposed to fit into this notch, do not fit in like they were supposed to, so I had to rest it to the side instead. The bonus part I got for Benimaru is an extra portrait which shows him with a smirk on his face. Here's what they look like all on display together with their different bases and the various poses they are in. It really looks like they are in action, which is really cool. I also picked up all of the Attack on Titan Kotobukiya ARTFX J renewal package version figures of Eren, Mikasa, and Levi, which are just re-releases that come with new packaging. Attack on Titan is one of my favorite manga and anime, so I had to get these. First up is Eren's figure. Man, getting this figure of him feels like a blast from the past, especially with how he looks now in the final season, but the likeness is there. The portrait looks great with this yelling expression, and they use decals for his eyes so they are bold. Definitely one of the best figures I've seen of him so far. You'll see this on all of these Kotobukiya ARTFX J AOT figures, but the ODM gear looks awesome on these figures. They painted them in various metallic covers to highlight all of the different mechanical details. They also added the wires to all of these, which rise up around them and add even more of a dynamic look and more movement to these figures. The blades have the crosshatch design on the hilts, and the blades themselves are painted in this metallic silver color so they shine in the light. All of these figures also have this floating effect as if they are actually maneuvering up in the air. I really like the designs and the fact that they all have these tree bases that tie them all together. Up next is Mikasa's figure, and she looks calm, cool, and collected even though she is battling it out against Titans, which is very typical of her. She looks awesome as well, and while I feel like Eren and Levi's portraits look more so like them than Mikasa's does, I couldn't have them on display without her. You can see the details of the ODM gear even more so on Mikasa's figure thanks to the pose she's in. One thing I want to note is that I had some trouble getting Mikasa into the base because you really have to have her in the right orientation to get her to fit in properly into the two spots she keys into. The plastic notch that keys into her foot doesn't fit in all the way, so it shows a little also. Despite this, she's still really secure on the base though. Out of the three though, I think Levi has to be my favorite. Levi is one of my all-time favorite characters, so I may be biased here, but there's something about the pose they put him in that I love because it really captures the way he moves with the ODM gear. The expression on his face is very characteristic of Levi as well, and it's all around really well done. When you put these on display together, they look even better because they are all at different heights, which creates a dynamic scene. Because of this, you can see all of the figures clearly when you have them on display in the same area, and the tree bases tie them all together also. All in all, Kotobukiya's ARTFX J Attack on Titan figures are some of the best AOT figures I've seen so far. I also picked up the 1/6 scale 3-0 figure of one of my favorite characters, Abi Su, from one of my favorite manga and anime, Dorohedoro. This is actually my first 3-0 figure I've ever purchased, and I was pleasantly surprised by the quality of their figures. I'm going to display her seated on my manga shelves in front of the Dorohedoro volumes alongside Kikurage. Abi Su is quite unpredictable and funny, and the posability of this figure really allows you to capture her personality. This is probably my favorite thing about this figure, but close second to that is the fact that they included Judas's ear, aka Kikurage, with her. I love the moments between the two, whether Kikurage is being carried around in her backpack or in her arms, which you can recreate with this figure. Also, the backpack she comes with is actually functional. The straps and the clasps all work even though they are super tiny. There is a pillow that you can also add into the backpack to fill it out when Kikurage isn't inside it. Another thing I really like about this figure is the fact that her clothes are actually made of cloth. Her shirt is distressed, her pants are as well, and they made the chevron-like metal plates on her pants look like they are made of real metal. She comes with her scythe as well. She also comes with 3 head sculpts. The first one shows her in her standard appearance without her mask on. Abi Su kind of has this doll-like expression when she's not running around and acting crazy in the best way possible, and they captured this really well. I love the way they sculpted her short purple hair, and her purple eyes look great also. The next head sculpt shows her in her first mask. They added textures and shading to this head sculpt to make it look like a skull. The final portrait shows her in her second skull mask that has these tall, pointy horns on it, and they are actually sharp, so be careful when putting this one on in particular. Although the mixed materials they used to make this figure are cool, and I absolutely love all of the different poses you can display her in. I'm looking forward to getting more figures from Dorohedoro and also getting the Prime 1 Studio statue, but this is an awesome start. Next up are all of the anime statues I got in recently. Alright guys, so this next one. Well, Brad and I have a running joke about who's going to buy the first statue we regret. Not that we ever want to buy something that we don't like, but that something just didn't turn out how we thought it would. And it just so happened it was me, because I really pushed to buy this next statue, Burning Wind in Flamingo Studio Itachi, which is in 1/7 scale. I'm not gonna put it lightly, guys. I really do not like this statue, and Itachi is one of my favorite characters, so you know I really don't like it. The way they painted and sculpted his face and body is my first issue. I don't know what they did, but they painted him all over with this glossy paint, so he looks like he's always sweating. It doesn't necessarily look like skin, but plastic instead due to this. One of my face sculpts came with a big chip in the nose as well, and then there's my least favorite thing about this statue, his neck. On top of it being really long, there's this weird seam line here which kind of makes him look double-chinned, especially on this one, and it looks like they tried to paint over something but did so in a lighter paint color than the rest of his neck, so it looks really off. On top of all that, the crows don't key in like they're supposed to and fall off all the time without any movement because they are just hanging there. You may also know that he is missing an arm right now because it came broken in the box, and honestly, the statue made me so frustrated I haven't got around to fixing it just yet. I really don't like having to knock things, but there's just absolutely no redeeming quality about the statue for me. Normally getting 2 statues with one would be a good thing, but what's worse than 1 Itachi statue you don't like, 2 Itachi statues you don't like? I'm always going to be honest with you guys, and I'm sorry if you love this statue, but to me, it's quite the disaster. This next one, which is the 1/6 scale Ichigo Bleach statue by Blackwing Studio, is one that didn't 100% turn out like I thought it would, but it has a lot of redeeming qualities. The thing that's keeping me from absolutely loving this statue is the head sculpt, because there are a few inconsistencies between the render and the actual sculpt we got. The hair doesn't go directly over his nose like the render, which makes him look a little cross-eyed when viewed from certain angles. His eyes and smirk aren't as menacing as I would have hoped, and the likeness isn't quite there. The rest of the statue, however, is incredible, especially all of the details on the throne, which make it look absolutely sinister, from all of these skeletal details with the spine that runs up the back of the throne and the skeletal hands that are clasping around it. But with so much detail here, the fact that Aizen's sculpt isn't quite all the way there makes it stand out a little bit more. Another thing I really like about this statue is that they sculpted what I believe is called his Shihakusho in a way that makes it look like it's actually cascading down the steps of the throne. He also comes with two items that you can display in his hand, a crown and another that looks to be a representation of his Hogyoku, also known as the Breakdown Sphere. When viewing this one from afar, the statue really has a presence, and I really love the way the throne in particular was executed. Cloud Studios' 1/7 scale Tobyrama also arrived. I got the EX version that comes with the extra Edo Tensei head sculpt and a bust stand because I'm for sure displaying him in his Edo Tensei form. The water dragons look really cool. There's 3 heads rising up around him, and they are cast in clear resin that's painted blue. I'm not quite sure how I feel about the pearlescent paint they use on the water that's on the base, but it does help break up the elements of the statue a bit, which I somewhat appreciate. The sculpt of and the paintwork of Tobyrama is awesome, especially on his armor. They added dent and deen details and texturing to make it look more worn. They added texture to his pants too, which adds even more detail to his body sculpt. His portraits are incredible too, both look just like him. One issue I've heard about this one is that one of the water dragons leans over time. They sent a clear prop with some orders in response to this issue, but mine did not come with one. That being said, I have it displayed in an area where it's near a wall, so if it were to lean, it would stop it from at least falling. I haven't noticed an issue with this yet, but this is something that would probably occur over time. I also got in Cloud Studios' 1/8 scale Sorcery, and it's another favorite of mine that recently arrived. I am a big fan of their Akatsuki statues, and I recently got their Datara statue, so I wanted to get this one a Sorcery to display alongside him. They did a phenomenal job at capturing his likeness, probably the best sculpt I've seen of him so far. His Akatsuki cloak is flying up behind him, which is typical of their Akatsuki statues, and I'm happy they do this because it makes their statues look a bit more dynamic. He is shown alongside his puppets Hiruko in the 3rd Kazekage and is inspired by his battle with Chiyo and Sakura. Sorcery himself is really well executed, but it's the paintwork and the texturing on the puppets that set this statue apart from the rest for me. With one rising above him and the other crouched down on the ground below him, the statue really showcases all of Sorcery's abilities and capabilities as a puppet master. On top of all that, the base looks like it's covered in real sand, which is a nice touch. That sand texture carries on throughout the band on the base as well, but it's painted in black. I've heard that the tail of his puppet Hiruko arrived snapped in half for a lot of people. I was super worried about this after hearing others' experiences, but somehow I got lucky and received an undamaged one. All in all, Cloud Studios continue to impress with their Akatsuki pieces, and I can't wait to get more of them. I have been in search of a Zenitsu statue for a long time, more specifically a statue that shows him performing his 7th form Flaming Thunder God, so when Hero Belief released one in collaboration with Hunter Fan Studio, I had to get it. So this statue is inspired by his battle with Kaigaku in the manga. The dragon and lightning effect pieces are all cast in clear resin and are painted in different hues of yellow. It has a really striking appearance alongside Zenitsu on this statue. The way this statue is, with Zenitsu facing so far down, you have to display it higher to see his face, but this is all very accurate to the scene and the way in which Zenitsu moves when fighting. It's faithfully recreated as it is in the pages of the manga, which I really appreciate. Plus, they added all the blood stains, and I really love that they included bloodstain portraits as well with the EX version. You guys know I had to get the bloodstained version, and the likeness is spot on all of the portraits. My favorite head sculpt has to be the one with the LEDs though. They are super bright and the statue looks even more incredible when they are on. The base also has a lighting effect too, and I couldn't be happier with the light up features they added on this one. My favorite statue I got recently though has to be this next one, KDC's 1/4 scale Goku statue that shows him on Namek during his battle with Frieza. I also have their Frieza statue on the way as well. When I get that one in, I'm going to do a review of both of them together since I bought them to be companion pieces. You can see the blue grass underneath Goku's feet and the green waves in Namek rising up around him. They are cast in clear resin and the green they chose is really vivid and they light up too, along with the Dragon Balls that surround the base. I tried my best to get what it looks like with the lights on camera, but it looks even more awesome when lit up in person. This one came with 2 upper body sculpts that you can display him with, one where he is turned to the side and looking over his shoulder with his shirt off. You can see all of the cut and blood details they added to his body sculpt to further show the damage he took during his battle with Frieza. The other shows him in a forward-facing stance with his shirt on and his hair sculpted more to the side with a serious expression on his face. They even added sweat details to this one, which is really nice. The textures they added on his outfit add more to the statue as well. Both are cool poses, but I think I'm going to display him with the first body sculpt because he looks so powerful in that one. KDC is one of my favorites when it comes to Dragon Ball statues. I have more of their statues on the way. And there you have it, guys. There are all of the anime figures and anime statues I got in recently. What figures or statues have you guys received as of late? Let me know in the comments below. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.